Hello everyone and welcome back to NHL 2K6 here in 2K. And we are just a couple days out from the deadline, so we're going to make a move ourselves here. We are going to sell just a little bit, only going to make one trade here, and it's for Teppo Newman, the free agent that we signed for about a few $100,000 a year for just this season. We're going to send him over to Calgary. Calgary is willing to mortgage their entire future for him, I guess in their playoff pursuit, so we are going to take their draft picks in exchange for getting rid of Teppo Newman, and since we were kind of have an outside shot to the playoffs, kind of out of it as it seems, but we were off to a hot start in the month of March to kind of get us back into the conversation. So perhaps selling might have been not the best decision. Who knows? We will see by the end of this video, but I saw an opportunity to really load up on some draft capital and help build up our prospects moving forward. So I thought, why not on a guy that we have gotten great production from at simply no cost, and he's gone after this year. So Calgary can absolutely take a month or two of Teppo Newman in whatever they're trying to do in exchange for their draft picks. I'll happily make that deal. So we're here playing against the top-seeded Phoenix Coyotes, or at least among the top seeds in Phoenix, and we have already scored a goal, and I believe it's no, it's Todd Marchant. Todd Marchant takes it down himself here, or rather takes a pass from Thierry and Fleury, and our assistant captain is able to bury this one behind the goaltender here for Phoenix. I'm not even sure who's in net. Is it Ilya Briskalov? Is that are we at that stage yet for the Coyotes, or is that a little bit later? Is that later on? I'm not sure, but either way, my goalie knowledge was pretty good around this time, but I'm not perfect on it. So later on in the first period, Todd Marchant takes it around behind the net and buries another one. So we got Todd Marchant with 2 goals here in the first period, making his presence felt here in Columbus at home against the Coyotes. It's a pretty important game here, or at least has some good Western Conference implications if we are able to win it. So we're going to take a 2-goal lead now into the intermission. And that's a nice lead, but we have taken 2-goal leads into after the first period before. So, and here we have Eric Lindros, an old Eric Lindros here, going to bury a wraparound. So we got 2 wraparounds in this game here. He's just going to bury it behind Mark Denise. Kind of really did everything by himself. I know he's got some assists credited, but that was a lot of heavy lifting by Lindros himself. So he's going to get the goal here to get the Coyotes in this game, back into this game, or finally, at least on the board, as Mark Denise a little bit too late to get to the pole here to try and keep that one out of the net. So Marchand obviously upset about that one. So later on in the period, the Coyotes, they're not done yet, and a slapper almost right in front of the net is going to get buried behind Denise here, and that time it's on the blocker side. Normally we're so used to Mark Denise missing some pretty easy shots on the glove side, but this one's going to beat him on the blocker side, and I don't even know how this one beat him. It looks like he was even hugging the post. But yeah, in slow-mo, we'll see in super slow-mo to see just how this one, I don't even know if it's going to show us the right camera angle, but the Coyotes are going to get themselves their second goal here, and they're going to tie things up with us here in the second period. So we're going to head into the locker room and prepare for the third period, all knotted up at 2 apiece. And there we see, just like that, how a 2-goal lead can disappear. So Thierry and Fleury now taking the puck down the ice. Marchant with the loose puck in the zone. He's going to pass it across the circles here and get it over to Rick Nash, who's clearly celebrating a goal that we obviously didn't see because of wacky camera angles yet again. I don't know why the game works like that, why the sim works like that, but either way, here you can see on the replay, Rick Nash kind of positions himself perfectly in front of the net in the blind spot of the defense, which was kind of giving him quite a bit of business here, but they lose sight of him as well, and Rick Nash buries that one-timer, and that's going to be the deciding goal here. The go-ahead goal is going to be the game-winning goal, as the Coyotes would not be able to rally back here in the late minutes of the third period. So a very clutch goal by Rick Nash here. Our top line doing all the heavy lifting in this game here. Todd Marchant with the first 2 goals, and then Rick Nash burying the third one. So we're going to get back into the hub world now and see how we did in the rest of the month of March. All right, everyone, we're back, and just what happened? What is anything? What are we? Is this it? Is this real? What are we doing? The sim looked down very favorably on this Blue Jackets squad and decided to give us 2 very massive point streaks to head into the final month of our first season at the helm. And I am in utter shock and disbelief. So after the All-Star break here, we went into the All-Star break with a 3-game point streak over the Kings, Avalanche, and Predators, and then have come out of the All-Star break fully refreshed and extended that point point streak up to 10 games before losing to the Blackhawks here in the middle of March. And then we followed that up with a 7-game point streak to take us into the month of April. So that is, if you're doing math here, that's points in 17 of our last 18 games. So that is some incredible playoff type of production, if you know what I mean. So just looking at the records of the teams on our calendar that we were currently racing with, and now we have a record better or close to them. So we have to at least be in the picture now. We're going to look at standings here in a second. We're probably going to look at player stats first, but we need to soak this all in here. This March here, we got points in all but one game in the month of March, and then if you extend it to February, we started on a win streak. So I got a lot of accolades as a GM and just as a player of this game. We did a lot here. I think 5th shutout in a season was also acquired in this month. I think it was acquired with this Ducks win, and so as you see, we picked up another one over the Coyotes. So we have 6 now in the year, I guess, if you're doing that math. I was jotting down my notes while the game was recording, and the record by month is the big thing to look at. So up to this point, our best month in terms of wins was November. We had 7 wins in the month of November, but we also had 6 losses in the month of November. And so this is clearly our best month here as we rack up. I mean, I haven't even started to count all the wins that we had in this month here. But this is an absolutely jam-packed month full of games. Our last full month of games before we get into kind of the end of season festivities here. As you can see, April curtails off after the 18th here. So we only have kind of half a month of games in April to really kind of make a last-second push if we were going to. But this is the push right here, and this is great. This is why people watch hockey, why people love hockey. It's because these late-season pushes for the postseason is what gets people really, really jazzed. So the only team that had our number in the month of March was the Chicago Blackhawks. Go figure. But we did beat them early in the month, too, so I guess that was just petty revenge. But we did beat the top-seeded Coyotes twice in this month as well, so they're probably not top-seeded anymore. I'm not entirely sure. But we will for sure look at the standings in depth and everything heading into April, because April's going to be a jam-packed month now with playoffs potentially on the table and seeding completely up in the air for a lot of teams. So, and keep in mind, dude, we also sold in this video. We sold. I traded away one of our best defensemen, and it didn't seem to slow down our defensive pairings whatsoever. We seem to maybe get some better production from the younger guys at the bottom half. Who knows? Depth was such a big issue, and maybe when we look at the stats, we will see that. It's been all the top guys, maybe, perhaps. Who knows? So let's look at our player stats. I always struggle to find it. So Therian Fleury here up at 78 points. But Therian Fleury has himself a massive month here, getting himself 28 points in the month of February. This is getting him back to all those numbers that we looked at here, his career numbers. He hasn't reached the 70-point mark since 2000-2001. We have officially smashed that number. So this is now his highest point total since 97-98. So we have really turned Therian Fleury around here. We got him for a couple more years. I doubt he'll produce at this level past this, but for him to contribute this much offensively in his first season with the team, man, this is exactly why I brought him in, exactly why I wanted a guy like this on the team, a veteran who could do something like this. And he gets himself 13 goals here in the month of March. And, of course, a ton of assists on top of that. So Todd Marchant now second on the team in points still. He was last month as well. And he gets himself 25 points in the month of March, man. Just an absolutely massive man. He only gets 2 goals, so most of that's all assists, but we will happily take that. Andrew Castles doesn't have a super productive month here. As you can see, the point drop-off is massive. 20 points between number 2 and number 3 on the team, but they're both centers, which is interesting. So, so Andrew Castles here only gets 8 points in the month of March here. No injuries. I didn't get any injury updates or anything crazy like that. So, everyone's been healthy in this season. So, Rick Nash, also, he's pretty productive here. He had 34 points last month, so he scores himself quite a bit of goals here. Gets 10 goals in the month of March, so he was pretty productive too. But I was kind of hoping he would be up here somewhere with Fleury and Marchant, but it looks like that free agent signing is just completely paying off, man. So we got 3 draft picks for one, and we got a top scorer in the other. So I think those are 2 big slam dunks. I will get a victory lap on those ones for sure. So Verborny also has himself, kind of like an Andrew Castles type month here. Just gets about 8 points or so. But we got a lot of guys that are trending towards the 50-point mark, which is pretty awesome. Maybe a couple guys here that have an outside shot. Maybe Yaroslav Spacek. I doubt it, but he's probably going to get a lot more playing time here. Probably moved up to the top line. I think he's probably our top or second defenseman now with Teppo Numminen gone. So, but yeah, outside of that offensively, I think these guys probably won't see a bunch. We just need them to contribute a lot of points. If they can get to the 30 to 40 mark, then that would be awesome. And it looks like it's probably where they're going to be for the most part. So, but we're getting a lot of production, not as much consistently as I thought. I thought we might have a lot of guys in the 50 to 60 range between, these top handful of dudes, but it's a pretty steep fall off once you get past Todd Marchant. It's a pretty steep fall off. So it looks like the top line is really just funneling through Marchant to Fleury. And Rick Nash sometimes gets himself involved as well, but outside of that, it's pretty light on the back half here. But we're still getting a lot of points in ways that satisfies me. So we're gonna look at our goaltending situation now because I forgot last time. So looking at Mark Denise here. The big thing to note here is the goals against average is down considerably here. He brought it back down about 0.2 of a goal here. It was in the 260s. Now it's in the 240s. So that's great. It's awesome. It's amazing. So Ottis Irbe also got in a couple games this month as well, lowering his numbers as well. His record's not very impressive here, but the goals against average and I'm sure the save percentage as well is up. So both of them I think were sitting around a 90. So now they're both about the same percentage. So much different sample sizes of course, but still getting consistent play from our backup tender is amazing. That's exactly what you want to see. And Mark Denise had a losing record heading into this month, and now he has a good record, a better record. So 6 shutouts on the season, man. You cannot be mad about that, and we certainly are not mad about that. So I don't know what his record is. Oh, we could look. We can absolutely look. So let's see what his record is. Do you have it? Do you have it? Do you have it? Do you have it? Yeah, you do have it. So 6 is currently, that's his highest. So he's now at his career year of shutouts. Awesome. So that's pretty awesome. So in save percentage, we're still on pace here to maybe have a career year in save percentage. Looks like 918 is what we're chasing. He's at 915 currently. So this top line is just it's his total. So his top line, so 915 on the year. Yeah, or 914 we're at. So we're chasing just about 0.4%. You know what I mean? To get up there. So a good year for him. And then wins, it looks like he's probably having a career. Yeah, it's a career year in wins as well. So Mark Denise, man, having himself a career year. So when you want to sit down and ask where this turnaround for the Jackets came from, look at people like Mark Denise, look at free agent signings like Theory and Fleury and Teppo Numminen, and just look at the consistent production from our centerpieces and a couple of the wings on the second lines. You know what I mean? So, and now the piece of resistance, we're going to look at the standings. So here we are, ladies and germs. That is playoff positioning. I did not think for a second this team could even make it to the playoffs. I thought maybe if the West, the back half of the West, was a little bit weaker, we could maybe squeeze around 500 and stake a claim at it. I did not think for a second that just actually holding a playoff spot would even be really a thing that we could do. So there's still plenty of hockey left to play, so there's a good chance that we lose out of here because, again, we're still in this logjam of points. As you can see, we're just as close to the 3rd seed, which is the Red Wings in our own division. We're just as close to the 3rd seed as we are to like the 10th seed, so which is Calgary. So I'm not super optimistic that we'll hold this spot, but I think as long as we pick up like a handful of wins, which we've done consistently, we haven't had a month outside of February, which was a shorter month because of the All-Star break, but we haven't had a month in this season so far with less than 5 wins. So I think as long as we even play the same kind of hockey that we were playing before the month of March, we should still be able to kind of sit in here, I would think. Unless one of these teams kind of in the bottom half really has a great April, like they take, like 7, 8, 9 wins out of April, then sure, maybe. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say that we've got anything figured out, because we definitely don't. We definitely do not. We still have a lot of work to do if we want to hold this spot here. But we're going to look at divisions too, because that I think is the more interesting thing. So Vancouver is our top seed, Phoenix is the 2nd seed, and then Detroit is the 3rd. And then outside of that, we have San Jose, Dallas, us, Minnesota, and Colorado. And then on the outside bubble, I think we can maybe not write off teams like Chicago and LA or even Anaheim, but I think they'll probably be the ones with the outside shot. They're going to be the team that we need to worry about having a great April. But St. Louis and Calgary are probably going to switch spots with Minnesota, Colorado, and us throughout April. So it's whichever teams out of that 5 I just listed that are going to end up on top is really going to be what to look out for. So, and we'll look over in the Eastern Conference as well. Tampa Bay still holding on to the top seed. The Devils right behind them. And then the Bruins hold on to the 3rd spot. And then outside of that, you have the Penguins and Islanders, both quote-unquote better teams than the Bruins. So the Bruins are just hanging on to that division, I guess. And then you have Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Toronto closing things out here. And it really seems like Carolina might be the only team that still has a shot in the East. I would think the Rangers and Senators are probably just about out of it at this point. I think that's, because once you get down to the Florida, Washington, and Buffalo bubble, that's about 8 points away. And so they would need to have pretty massive months here and need pretty humongous collapses from either Philadelphia or Toronto. And I doubt that's going to happen. So the Eastern playoff picture seems just about set here unless Carolina can kind of shake things up here in the next month. But, of course, in the West, things are still completely open-ended as you have about 5 or 6 teams that could really fight for a playoff spot still, depending on how April goes. So looking in at the Atlantic Division, here's a quick glance at it. I haven't focused on all the divisions, but as we get closer to playoffs and kind of set ourselves up for April, I want you guys to be able to see that and see what's happening and why teams are where they're at. So, so because when you look at the conference standings too, you see some of these point switches around here. Like New Jersey's currently holding on to the 2nd seed at 93, and then you have Pittsburgh in the 4th seed at 91. But if Pittsburgh just finishes a couple games better than New Jersey in this last month, they will take over that 2nd seed. So that's why we need to probably look at divisions here and take a closer look. And of course the Islanders are not far off either. So Philadelphia still in that playoff picture in the East here, and they are a whole 10 points out from 3rd. So the Atlantic Division is just absolutely loaded this season. In the Northeast, though, a completely weaker division in the East, the Bruins are hanging on to that spot here. So Toronto could potentially fight for the division here if they could put together a decent April, but they're still holding a playoff spot currently as it stands, and that's probably just about it. So in the Southeast, Tampa Bay probably all but has clinched their division, I would think, being almost 20 points ahead of Atlanta. I would think they just about have that division clinched, probably at least have a playoff berth clinched by this point, I would imagine. And so that's probably, there's not much in the Southeast to continue to look at. Division's about set. In the Pacific, though, things are very, very much heated. So April's really just going to be a slugfest for the Pacific, I guess, as you have Phoenix, San Jose, and Dallas all kind of fighting for seeding here. I would imagine all 3 of these teams will probably find themselves in the playoffs and things are said and done. None of these teams really stand in our way in terms of just getting there. So I don't think we have too much to worry about in terms of just getting there, getting to the dance, getting to the show. When it comes to these 3 teams specifically, but they're still fighting for the division title. So in the Northwest, Vancouver has a pretty solid lead in the Northwest. I think this is a team that would probably clinch a playoff berth. I don't think they could probably be knocked out at this point. I mean, obviously they could. It's a lot of points to talk about. A 10-point lead isn't sacred in the West, so I get it, but they definitely have a nice cushy lead in the West. And then there's Minnesota and Colorado, 2 teams that we are worried about in the playoff picture. Same with Calgary, who are kind of all in this mixture here. Not for the division, but, they're still on our tail. And then here in the Central, we still sit behind the Red Wings by just a point. So we could even potentially get a division title in this month, which is just nuts to say, dude. Can you believe that? A month ago, I was talking about, hey, man, should we sell? Should we, a month ago, and now we are a point away from being first in our division. So absolutely nuts. I would have to look and see what date was the last time we held, first place in our division. But either way, the fact that we are here is crazy. But St. Louis is still on our tails here. We're not away from St. Louis, and Chicago does have an outside shot. So, so St. Louis is also another team we have to worry about because St. Louis could also be in the mixture. So we could potentially get a top seed in the Western Conference here if we could just have a decent enough April. I think that's kind of nuts to think. So, that's how seeding is currently looking here in the Western Conference. I mean, that's really kind of the video, too. I mean, there's not a whole lot more to look into other outside of the standings. But I guess we'll get to April. That's what we need to do. I knew I was forgetting something in my mind. So here in April here, it's a absolutely loaded month in terms of, I mean, just opponents. So we have 2 back-to-back games against the Red Wings. So I'll start in order. So we start off at home with the Blackhawks, and then we go on the road to Nashville to play the Predators, who are currently last place in our division. And then we have 3 days off before we travel to Detroit to play the Red Wings in our second to last matchup against them. So these 2 games will probably decide the division for us. I guess depending on what kind of month Chicago has, or St. Louis has too. So St. Louis could always be a part of this mixture as well. But for now, it's definitely between us 2, and these 2 games are probably going to decide who wins the division. So these are going to be massive games that we will definitely be watching in the April recap. So, and then we also have a road game with Dallas in Dallas, who, as we know, we just saw is in the Pacific Conference, or Pacific Division, excuse me, fighting things out to get a good spot in their division. So they will be playing with a lot on the line. The Blues are still trying to keep their playoff hopes alive and even their division hopes alive. So this will also be a very important game for them. And then we have 2 more games, back-to-back games against the Blackhawks. This one at home, and then one on the road to Chicago. And then we finish with another game against the Dallas Stars, which hopefully by this point everything will be locked up playoff-wise, and we will be okay. So I think as long as we win like 2 of those Blackhawks games, one of these Red Wings games, that Predators game, and then one of these Stars games, I think we'll be okay. I think we can afford to lose that game to St. Louis. I think we can lose this other game to Dallas. And I think we can lose that 3rd game to Chicago. But I think as long as we win at least these 2 Chicago games, one of these Red Wings games, and then a Predators game, I think we'll still be in a good spot for playoffs. But of course, if we want the division, we'll have to win, I mean, both these Red Wings games. We'll probably have to win 2 of 3 of the Blackhawks games still. We'll have to beat St. Louis. And yeah, that'll probably dispel who's going to be the division champ or not. So hope to see you guys in the next one, man. I'm super excited now that we're like playoffs are on the table. That's crazy. I didn't think that was possible. And in case you're curious, yes, 37, 29, 3, and 4. Or just 37, is officially the franchise record for wins for the Blue Jackets. I've already broken it. And you're number 1, I've already broken it. In real life, they would get 35 wins in this season. So we're not super improved off of where they were in real life. This is about with the expectation, or not expectation, but about where they would level out in real life. But we still have a chance to even get 40-plus wins. So we're definitely going to smash expectations in our first year at the helm. So hope to see you guys in the next video here, where we focus on one of these 2 Red Wings games, depending on if we win or lose, I guess the first game maybe, or I don't know. We'll probably watch the second game just the way it is. So hope to see you guys in the next video back in Columbus when we take on the Red Wings and hopefully win our division, but more importantly, make it to the playoffs.